Call to order this meeting for the Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee. Roll call, please.
There's a,
Reverb.
yeah, there's an echo somewhere.
Yeah.
John Zarowski,
Here.
Steve Karyanen.
Here.
Kay Wilson, Randy Newman,
Here.
Brian Bizanet.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statute.
Thank you. The meeting agenda is set. And we go on to number 6, public comments. I have one here for Linda Zillmer.
Good morning, Linda Zillmer, Edgewater property owner and resident of the village of Birchwood. And wanted to mention a few things this morning. I have previously communicated about an upcoming land and water resource management plan update that will probably be happening under your jurisdiction. And I'm hoping that you will maybe set a timeline for that at a future agenda. And especially since this committee is overseeing how the county manages and protects land, water, and forest resources, I want to repeat my request that the county start a process to develop a municipal wellhead ordinance. And the example being, for instance, the village of Birchwood has only one municipal well. It sits on the border with the town of Edgewater in Sawyer County. And Sawyer County has not recognized protecting the area within our wellhead protection area as identified by plans in our ordinance. There's also, I think, a better need for the county to follow its own ordinances with regard to groundwater protection. And that is a good example of that was the last zoning hearing where the zoning ordinance clearly requires a number of pieces of information to be presented to both the town and the zoning committee to identify wetlands and things like that. So in that situation, you have a proposed commercial operation. Wetlands were not identified. There was not an identification that a special high-strength pout system may be needed, or consideration of the fact that neighboring properties have had to install holding tanks because the ground right next door did not perk. So water is all connected, whether it's surface water or groundwater, and I would hope to see this committee take some steps, just as like Round Lake has been proactive in well water testing. And if someone could please explain the new accessories in the room here about the signs that say only authorized personnel and board committee members beyond this point. So please let us know the rules about if we can no longer come up and talk to you and where we're supposed to turn in our public comment slips. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Nothing online? Okay. Number 7, consider approval of minutes from the previous meeting.
Minutes.
I'll second that. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Number 8, we have the Register of Deeds report. And if we have any questions, anybody have any questions? So we would go on to number 9. Are there any events that we need to cover?
None this month.
Okay, thank you. Number 10, Land Records and County Surveyor Department report. There's a In fact, yes, I know that they were redoing some corners in winter. Where actually one of the markers got hit by a grader, so had to redo. Any questions here from? Then excuse me, sorry. Land, Water, Forest Resource, September 24 report from the county surveyor. Having a bunch of changes occurred last month. The office has been staying busy. And if there's anybody has any questions about that, we can take care of that. I'm going to go down to number 11, Sawyer County Forestry Department. We have nothing on the recreational trails report. We would go right down to B then with the forestry department.
Okay, for the month of August, we did have 7 sales listed as active. We're still seeing a fair amount of timber harvesting activity out there. We had 3 sales closed out this month. Timber sale value sold on file right now is just over 4.3 million. For the August revenue, we had just over 178,000. So our year to date is just over 1.9 million. So we did hit our revenue budget already for this year. So that is obviously good news. Markets are still questionable out there, but like I said, we're getting a high level activity right now. A lot of sales getting cleaned up and finished up. So it seems like when one market takes a dip, that some of the other stuff kind of picks up around it. So we've got enough different timber markets with our forest types that kind of float us through these questionable spots. Have had quite a few park reservations for the month, so that's been keeping us busy out there as well. Sale inspections, we're on target for the level of activity for the month. We did have 4 tracts turned in for review. Also, I didn't list it on here, but we're putting together our fall timber sale bid prospectus. Those packets will be going out probably the second week of October for a bid opening the first week of November. Recon, we're on target there for our goal on recon. Good Neighbor Authority, we've been a little bit not putting a lot in on that right now. Things should be ramping up here in the next month or 2 on our existing contract with the state. Oak wilt, we're still monitoring, looking for potential areas. We did have the one tree that was identified and treated in the Janet Road area. Nothing new for mountain bike trails or Berkey Trail, ATV, UTV trails. The Trail 11 rehab project from Tuscobia to Lost Lake Road, the South Loop has started. That's a 3.1 mile rehab. It's a grant funded project. Trail 5, we're still on hold on that one. We did have word from the contractor that he's talking about going back in this week, but we'll see if he shows up. We've been having some issues with this particular contractor and finishing up this contract. So
is there a possibility that he's not interested in it anymore? Or?
I think it's possible. He's called us several times this summer, and he's like, well, if you want me to, complete it yet. And it's like, well, yeah, we want you to complete it.
Yeah.
I did offer him an out, it's like, well, if you don't want to complete it, just send us a letter and, we'll bid it back out. And he's like, well, will I still get paid? He's like, well, no. So it's been kind of a battle with this particular guy. So we'll see where it goes. He's got till the end of the year to officially complete it. So hopefully he gets it done, but we'll see how it goes. So Hatchery Park, nothing new there. Carbon credit, also nothing new. We're still waiting for our, oh, Andy's got something new.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I shared which meetings we shared this at, but just as a positive sign, Bayfield County did report out that they've had multiple sales now and their initial sales covered their administrative costs that they had shared with Anu, but now have received money into their fund in Bayfield County. I think 175,000 was the last sale that they've deposited a check for. So they were the first county in, and we've been all waiting to see if they would start to see some sales.
Yep, I think they're the only ones. There was an email on our administrator group here last week for updates, and I think Bayfield's still the only one that has received any payment yet. So it's still going. So it's a positive sign. So hopefully sometime next year we will have a little bit of positive for us as well. So that's all I have for my monthly report. If anybody has any questions.
I'd like to know this oak wilt, is this the one that, is this carrying on from, like, I believe 2 months ago? Was one of the first that you found?
Yeah, that's our one and only confirmed for this year
Okay,
so
good.
far. I'm sure did you really? Yeah, there's a lot in the Round Lake area. I know there's a lot of infected trees, so it's just something that it's always gonna be here and just have to deal with it.
And I guess I never did know, as far as the timber revenue, the sales and that, 178,301 for August, that is, I'm sorry. And, as you're talking year to date, is that calendar year,
Yeah,
December?
Yep,
End of
yep.
December? Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have questions? Thanks a lot. Going down to letter C, I guess I'm gonna need some assistance from Andy here.
I'm gonna need assistance from Greg. I mean, Greg and I have discussed this, but I'll let him explain it.
Yep. So I was approached by a landowner that has a part, his 40 is basically it's right next to the high point of the Berkey Trail, as you see on the map. And so he made a proposal. He's interested in the county-owned 80 that's just on the south line of the county forest block off of Telemark Road. He owns property just south of there. The county-owned 80 in question is just a straight county-owned. It's not in county forest. It was taken on back taxes in 2000, and we kept it on hand as a potential trade block for some of these interior parcels. So the proposal is swap the county-owned 80 for his 40, which is a 37.8. And then, based upon an appraisal value, he would pay the difference in acreage value between the two parcels. So we would be trading, and then also cash value of our 80. So because obviously, it's like we've got a bigger parcel. So timber value, the Samuel 40 is a beautiful stand of saw timber, oak, and hardwood. The county one has been pretty cut over. It was not in great shape when we acquired it. So we'd be gaining a significant timber value. So I guess so where we sit now, we don't have any numbers that have been thrown around. I would be, if the committee was interested in pursuing this further, I would be looking for permission to get an appraisal on the two parcels to see what the valuations are. And
Would
then
you
go
be
from-
looking for just one appraisal or a few appraisals just to get range?
Well, that's a good question. I think I'm comfortable with one. We've used a couple in the past. We've done Steigerwald has usually been the cheaper route for us. So I mean, but that's up to the committee. If we want to have a couple appraisals, we can certainly do that, but it's going to be a increased cost. Our last appraisal, I think for an 80 was right around $2,800 was what the cost was to get an appraisal on an 80. So I would think with 120, we'd probably be, probably 3,500 or something like that, just ballpark. It's the 40 that we would acquire. I mean, as you look on the map, it's another one of those where we have basically every rec trail, wrapping around this one. We've got the Berkey Trail, we've got the ATV snowmobile trail and the single track trails. It just kind of bends around this, and it's a pretty ideal acquisition parcel for us.
To develop trails into or through that?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess I'd like to make a motion, let Greg go out and seek appraisals of these 240s for a possible swap.
Okay, motion has been made. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, and Greg can move on with that.
Anyway.
Thank you. There's another one where I'm gonna call on Andy for number 12 for the, oops, I'm sorry, letter E.
11D.
D.
Greg's got a policy change or
I'm sorry.
Yep, so this we had talked about, that was probably the previous committee, but with the winter we had last year with the road bans on so early, I'm proposing a temporary timber sale extension policy where any of the sales that expired on May of 2024 and coming up in December, that if the sales that require frozen ground conditions, that we would offer a 1-year extension without an increase. I wasn't sure how this was going to go with the winter. A lot of guys did get back into non-frozen sales with the road bans, but I have fielded a lot of calls and a lot of requests for some kind of extension switch with this winter we've had. So just looking at the sales on the books right now, ones that we require frozen ground, we'd probably be looking at about 15 sales. I guess the proposal, it requires a request from the contractor, either a phone call or email or whatever. So it'd just be a temporary deal for these set of contracts from this year. So as I mentioned earlier, it is kind of an unprecedented weather situation that really put a lot of these contractors in a bind. So.
Any more questions about the temporary modification? Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll give a motion to Greg to allow the extension of these contracts from 2024 that require a frozen ground.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Now E, DNR forestry report.
I do not have an official report for this month. However, our foresters have been continuing to, excuse me, establish some timber sales amongst the county forest. We did have a couple good projects that the DNR helped Sawyer County with through Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation grant. We're able to put some more material down on the Parks Farm access, along with starting on Thornapple Springs crossing through the Lake of the Pines conservation easement. So that was a couple very good things that happened. And just yesterday we had our annual partnership meeting, and went very well. So that's just my quick and dirty about our last month here.
I got a question for you. The Draper Road or when that, I was talking to them in Draper about this yesterday. And I did not know when would be the possibility or the earliest possibility to be able to actually go in there with equipment and bring logs out.
Okay, so on the Draper Road project, thank you for reminding me about this. We did apply for the Sustainable Forestry Grant and it was not awarded to Sawyer County. It had been awarded to a couple other counties. And this year in particular, the fund was smaller than in years past, so they weren't able to delegate as much funding out. So we will reapply for the grant. This is the plan anyway. We'll probably have to be approved again. Maybe, probably not. Anyway, we'll have to reapply for the grant again next summer and hope to get that underway. So the soonest the road project could be started on would be next year, next
And-
fall.
And that was in like a 2-year plan, I think 1 year to.
Correct. So the first.
To make it up to standards for what's done already.
Correct. So the first phase would be updating the initial or the existing road. And then we would apply again for another sustainable forestry grant and then work on the new construction. So
So
Now it's-
possibly 3 years.
yeah, now it's looking, usually a county won't receive a sustainable forestry grant twice in a row. If we were to gotten it this year, there would be no chance we would get it for the same type of project in 2025.
Okay, yeah.
So that goes for future as well. But it would be at the soonest next year.
Okay. Any more questions? Thanks a lot. Number 12, Callahan Mud Lake Association petition. I need help from Andy on that one.
I will talk about this one. So we put this in the pack earlier this week, added to the agenda, because, well, two parts. One, what's in the pack is what we received, from the Friends of Callahan Lake. They are pursuing the formation of a, lake district. We had, some of us here, conservation zoning staff had met with representatives probably more than maybe 2 years ago almost out at Callahan Lake. There's a dam, kind of a culvert with covers on it, dam structure that there is no clear ownership of. Obviously that without that structure, there is no Mud or Callahan Lakes. So they have proceeded to form a district so that they can eventually, what their intentions are is to assess a tax on the members of the Lake District in order to take ownership and repair the dam. The dam needs work. So we received this. Initially, we thought this was kind of the petition for formation, but actually what it is because what will happen is once they have enough signatures and they're ready to proceed with formation, they will provide that petition to the clerk. We, at the county, they can go through the town or the county. At this point, they're planning to come through the county to have that district formed. We'd have to have a public hearing and then put our findings together, give that to the county board. Then the county board ultimately approves or denies the petition for the formation of the district. We've already talked to them about this process and talked to the chair of the county board. When we get the petition, it's going to come to this committee. We think this is the committee that's appropriate to have the public hearing, put the findings together, and then make a recommendation to the county. So that is still to come. But the reason we received this is that the county actually owns parcels or is the named owner of parcels within the district. You can see on in the packet, it's page 25. shows 4 parcels, unique code 213 of Sawyer County. I'm not, they didn't really communicate much on this, but this is actually you're supposed to sign and return the petition by August 15th. We didn't receive this till this week, so I don't know if they intended for us to sign off on it. I would, for a couple of reasons, recommend we not sign and return. I don't think we're a player in that, so I don't think we should sign off. And I haven't had a chance, but I want to follow up with legal, just because all the parcels that, all 4 of our parcels are underwater. They're actually part of the lake bed, and I'm not sure those are the validity of those as far as being a part of the Lake District, so I just wanted to follow up on that. So I guess for today, my recommendations is just for information. I'm just gonna grab the screen, Lynn. So yeah, this is Mud and Callahan Lakes off of County B. And you can see like one of our parcels is right in the middle of Mud Lake. One next to it, one to the north of it. So, but that's what's happening, and I anticipate we'll see this here once the petition is filed with the county. They need to get 51%. They have 2 options: 51% of the landowners within the district, of the parcel owners, or 51% of the land area of the district, in order for them to submit the petition.
We really need to wait for them to bring that.
Yeah, before we do anything, and that's why I said this actually, we could sign and return, but I would just recommend at this point, since it's past the deadline already, and I'm not sure, I haven't had a chance to get anybody's opinion on whether the parcels covered by water are part of the 51% or not. Not all lakes, like if you go at some of the other lakes, like if you go to Round Lake, there are no parcels within the lake. So I'm assuming this, because this was a flowage, somehow that ownership is still listed.
So should we just table this?
Yeah, I would just table it or take no action.
I move we table the Callahan Mud Lake Association petition till further review.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to table the Callahan Mud Lake petition. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. We'll go on to number 13. The county conservation department update.
Yeah, staff is unavailable to be here today, but I think it summarizes. I'll just add on to the AIS work. That's the aquatic invasive species. In addition to what they have listed, there has been some discussion with at least one lake district, I think 2, that resulted in a meeting last week, just talking about enforcement of aquatic invasive species and how that's being handled. So that's something we'll be working on with law enforcement, and our code enforcement will be involved in, I would say, improving the enforcement of the ordinance we have on the books for invasive species.
Good, thank you.
Where is that found?
What's that?
Where is that found, the enforcement?
I'm just providing that there was a meeting last week.
Oh.
I can't recall which lake district asked to meet and discuss it. But I think it's been a little, lacking.
The Tiger Cat Flowage Lake Association is in the process of grant application for invasive species because Eurasian water milfoil has been found up by the Black Iron and on Upper Twin, and we were just awarded a $25,000 grant by the DNR for a rapid response. So working on the next steps for that project to hopefully contain it and control it.
You said Tiger Cat, correct?
Okay.
Tiger Cat?
Okay, 13B USDA report. Or C for LCO report. Anything from LCO?
So, two things I can think of off the top of my head, and I reported on one of them earlier, I believe. We have to reroute, the trail that, comes off on the K right there, so, you know. We're still working on the design of how we're gonna reroute that. The other update is we've had a number of ATV users still riding on non-approved roads, and we're trying to well, we've ordered signage and we've been waiting on it. Last thing we want to do is actually, so, try to make an effort to have better signage out there for.
But you have to wait for the signs is a problem. Yeah. Okay, any questions for Brian? Go off to number 14, tax deed foreclosure process.
That one's just gonna be a discussion today as well. We're actually still waiting on a draft resolution from the Wisconsin Counties Association to address Act 207. So just kind of an update. In 2021, the state changed the tax deed process for counties with Act 216, which basically required, the big change was that prior, when we took a tax deed property for non-payment and sold it, we were able to keep the proceeds. Now they specified that if whatever the proceeds of the sale are in excess of the back taxes and any administrative or upkeep costs that the county incurred have to be returned to the prior owner. So there was more effort up to 8 years after the property was taken, we have to try to track down the previous owner and do that. There were some issues with that, and this is resulting from court cases in other states, actually. Minneapolis, Hennepin County had a court case that was settled mostly in favor of the prior owners. Then now they've passed Act 207, the last session, that has to do with giving preference to the prior owner of the property. Surrey County is one of the counties that had a resolution on the books that did give preference to the prior owner of the property to be able to reclaim it. Unfortunately, our resolution doesn't meet the requirements of what the updated state statute reads. That's why we have to pass a new one, and we're waiting for that draft resolution yet from the counties association. There are some other changes as far as how the treasurer has to advertise and list the properties. But once we get the WCA draft resolution, we'll bring that to the committee. And we'll essentially have to adopt a new tax deed process as a result of changes at the state level. We thought we'd have it by today, we just don't have it yet.
Okay, we're waiting again.
Yep.
Okay. Number 15, consider remediation work for the Amico Ackley property in Village of Winter.
Sure. So what's in the packet is a professional services agreement from SEH to do some monitoring work at a site in the Village of Winter called Ackley Oil. I'll share some background so everybody. This is along. Fortunately, the parcel is not real. Probably has no market value. You can see I've kind of got it highlighted in teal there. It's just adjacent to the depot in Winter. That is the Tuscobia Trail that runs alongside it. That used to be rail bed. So as you might guess, that site is a former bulk plant that used to be along the rail. The county got involved back in 2005, 6, around there. I think the county took it on tax deed. I didn't go check, but they did get the county, Sawyer County got a grant, a site assessment grant, and did a site assessment on this property in 2007 and 28. And then everything kind of stopped, and I haven't been able to find out why it stopped. Nothing ever proceeded. There was determined to be some contamination there, although not at very high levels. The DNR, actually, Jay Kozlowski was at a meeting with the DNR last year where this property came up, as well as one in the village of Coudray. The one in the village, both were Ackley oil sites. The village of Coudray site, the county does not own. We have no involvement in that one, and I would recommend that right now it's just a back taxes property that the county hasn't taken in Coudray, and I think we leave that one alone. This one, the county does own though. And, I think the DNR wants something done, either to get it closed there, they like to get it to close out. They've suggested that most likely if we cap the site, like with an asphalt layer, that'll be enough remediation to close the site out. However, in order to get to that point, we have to do some work on the monitoring wells. I'll just say, DNR probably can't force us to do anything. However, I think it'd probably be a good idea for us to do this and get this thing closed out, because I went down and visited the site earlier this year. It's probably not a good look for us. This is what the site looks like. It's got the barrels from the monitoring wells from 17 years ago still on site, as well as the monitoring wells themselves. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of them on this little parcel there. So I think for, what was it 4950 for them to go back in there, they might have to rehab the wells in order to get samples out of them, to do a couple rounds of water sampling and provide that to the DNR, so they can, help hopefully close out the site. Most likely it's going to be a asphalt cap on the property. We actually had highway, the initial discussion with DNR was that they thought an asphalt cap would work. So we jumped right to getting highway to take a look at how much it was going to cost to put the asphalt cap in place. And that's when they said we can't put an asphalt cap in because these monitoring wells are sticking out of the ground. So this is how we got to this point. So ultimately though, it's going to be a piece of blacktop alongside the Tuscobia Trail. We'll do some talking with the Village of Winter. The highway commissioner said they can flatten it out, and it's about the right size for a pickleball court, the little piece of property. If they want to do something down there with it, they can. But I think for our purposes, we just need to get it cleaned up and closed out and not looking like it is a contaminated site.
And try to get it off the books.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we'll try to sell it, but it's pretty much landlocked. It's Tuscobia Trail on one side and then the dollar store fronts on the other side.
And right now it's on a
It's a slope.
big slope.
Yep.
We just, we're looking for motion.
Yeah, motion to go ahead with the proposal from SEH.
I'm gonna make a motion that we move ahead with the proposal to finish out this property for the 4950 that we need to do the expenses and equipment.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion has been made to proceed with remediation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All in favor, say no. Motion has been carried. Number 16, any outside committee updates from various committees? No. Future agenda items, were we talking about the, with the land trade? Is that,
Yeah, I don't know what the timeline on usually it's gonna take a little bit of time to get the appraisals
Okay.
done, but
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It could be next month, but it might be into November.
Okay,
The item 14 tax deed should stay on for next month. The,
Mhm.
and then the Lake District will all depend on if they file the petition or not.
if they do it, yeah. Okay, good. Correspondence or reports from the conferences and meetings? If we have none, we are adjourned. Thank you.